In the finals, everyone has their favorite weapon archetype, from CQC to close range burst damage, pistols, assault rifles, you name it. But in these weapon categories, which are the strongest and most perfect representatives of that archetype, regardless of what class they belong to? And that is what we're gonna go over in this video. Quick disclaimer, these weapon picks are strictly my opinion. If you have a different view, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first category is going to be SMGs. SMGs are high damage burst weapons that thrive at close range. Equipped with this weapon, you tend to empty your clip in seconds and leave your opponent wondering, what the heck just happened? But craftsman, there are only 2 SMGs in the game. I'm gonna stick the Shaq 50 in there as well, as it is quote unquote the close range weapon for heavy. But let's talk about what I think is the most powerful and iconic SMG in the finals. And of course, it's the XP54. Close range, check. Long range, check. Hip fire, no problem. And with the recent buff to allow it compete with the M11, the XP54 outclasses even some assault rifles at long range. Some even call it the jack of all trades and the master of all. The pistols of the finals are quite competitive and don't get the deserved exposure as they should, from single-handed burst fire to dual-wielding cannons. Some of these pistols do require stellar aim to be effective with, and others reward you for having a fast trigger finger. But which of these is the best weapon within this archetype? And in my opinion, as a heavy main, it pains me to say this, but it's the 93R. A weapon that released in a very weak state and has been buffed to even now out DPS some assault rifles. It is literally the equivalent to a single-handed FAMAS that eliminates opponents at all ranges, and the ease of use is very welcoming. In most of my games, the pistols that get the most shine are the Deagles, the V9S, and the Revolver. And the 93R is nowhere in sight and is, in my opinion, a sleeper of a weapon. Apart from SMGs, the assault rifles are the next go-to pick for weapons in the finals. These weaponry are staple for any FPS games, and one of them, being the AKM, is the face of assault rifles across the FPS genre. But enough yapping. Between the FCAR, AKM, FAMAS, and the ARN, which of these do I consider to be the best assault rifle in the finals? And in my opinion, it's going to be the FCAR. A unique example of weapon balance. Once the most dominant weapon at the early stages of the finals, the FCAR received a couple of tweaks to tone down its suppressive power. But with the recent buffs, the aggressive recoil at the early stages of firing this weapon is now very manageable, and in my opinion is the best assault rifle in the finals. Credit to the finals for incorporating a main weapon slot for melee weapons. With 6 weapons in total, 2 in each class, each of them brings a unique experience with varied abilities ranging from deflection, straight up defense, charged attacks, and relentless ranged mechanics. And success with these weapons depends highly on skill level. Some are intimidating to go up against and others not so much. But which of these weapons within this archetype is the most dominant? And in my opinion, of course, it's the sledgehammer. Not only for the fact that it delivers high damage with no mercy, but for the ability to reshape the map as you see fit and create as much pandemonium and chaos and environments in which the sledgehammer thrives the most. Huge magazine-sized weapons that thrive on suppressive power. The LMGs of the finals are few and far between, with only 2 currently in the game being the M60 and the Lewis gun. I'm gonna stick the minigun in there as well, because without the movement penalty and the rev time required, it fits perfectly into this archetype. But which amongst these 3 is the best LMG in the finals? Drum roll please! In my opinion, it's the minigun, a sleeper of a weapon. Don't get me wrong, some buffs are definitely required, but in its current state, after using the minigun since the beginning of Season 6 and making some adjustments to my playstyle, the minigun is severely underrated. Adjustments such as maintaining spin-up times in the middle of combats to keep the pressure on, etc. And with the largest magazine size in the game, all hail the crown king of the LMGs. Each class of the finals has at least 1 marksman rifle, apart from heavy, primarily designed to thrive at long range, with some being decent to medium and closer ranges. With 2 to 3 head and body shots required, as long as your aim is crisp, you will win a whole bunch of your gunfights. So which of these weapons is the best marksman in the finals? And that would be the pike. With the reduction of the visual recoil at the beginning of this season, hitting your shots with the pike is now relatively easier. The TTK is outrageously good, and even though it might not have access to a varied amount of sights like your typical assault rifles, but in my opinion, in the right hands, the pike is the current reigning #1 marksman in the finals. The explosive archetype, which consists of the CL40 and the MGL32. Once buffed to a nightmare status in Season 4, the CL40 requires a certain playstyle to be useful. In game modes like Power Shift, the CL40 and the MGL are a nightmare to deal with, but during cash outs, you're better off picking a different weapon. But the main goal is to pick the best weapon within this archetype, which of course is the CL40. One could make the argument that the RPG is part of the explosive archetype, which in logical sense makes you correct. But this list primarily focuses on the main weapon slot within the finals, and the CL40 definitely takes the cake. Last but not least, we have the shotguns. These are close range powerhouses that do tremendous damage at medium to close range. Some are semi-automatic and the rest are your typical one shot per pull of the trigger. These weapons are quite decently represented across all the classes with 2 in each, and some are a must pick and others are quite challenging to use. But which of these is the king of this archetype? I'm happy to report that the SA-1216 has finally been dethroned and the Cerberus is now the best shotgun within this archetype. After its recent buffs, not to even mention the afterburn effect, the Cerberus can now 1, 2, 3, 1 for lights, 2 for mediums and 3 for heavies. Plus the afterburn effect interrupts the amount of time it takes your opponents to regen their health. All shotguns struggle at long range, including the Cerberus, but at close to medium range, nothing is beating this fiery machine. And there you have it, the strongest weapon in each archetype. Call it a mini straight to the point tier list. Whether you disagree or agree with these picks, let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. And until next time, your gaming craftsman is out.